The track of death. The galaxy knew fear. And that fear had a name, the Death Track. Built deep inside the shattered moon of Varkon 7, the Death Track was a test of speed, strength, reflex, and endurance. It was not a game. It was a sentence. If someone survived, they earned honor. If not, they became dust among the bones of the others. 4 years, species after species had tried. The warriors of Telros fell in seconds. The four-legged races of Kryl were sliced by plasma saws. The floating minds of Galari couldn't even pass the first gate. It became a show. A nightmare circus. A challenge that promised glory but delivered death. Then Earth came into the picture. No one had expected much from the humans. They were late to the galactic scene. Their worlds were small, their ships slow, their voices always polite. No one feared them. No one noticed them, but the Council wanted entertainment. And so, as part of Earth's first appearance in the intergalactic trials, they were offered a slot on the Death Track. A joke, really. A test they weren't supposed to survive. A lesson in humility. They sent one man. He stepped out of the landing craft wearing only a black suit, tied around his muscles, light on armor, with a small Earth flag stitched near the collar. His face was calm. His eyes scanned the firelit arena where countless had died. He didn't speak. Around him, the crowd of species roared. There were thousands, rogue diplomats, blood-coated war generals, Neuralink thinkers, mechanical giants. All watching from their thrones, floating pods, or glass towers. They waited for the human to fail. They wanted blood. And they would get it. The countdown began. 3, he stood still. 2, the gates began to open. 1, the human sprinted forward. The track started with plasma darts, tiny red bolts that moved faster than thought. Aliens had screamed and melted, trying to dodge them. The human, he dove under them, rolled, leapt, twisted. Not one hit. Then came the blade wall. Steel razors moved in patterns even the minds of the Glari couldn't predict. It sliced one warrior into 6 before he even blinked. The human slid under it, pushed off the floor, flipped over a second blade, landed between spinning wheels, and was gone. The crowd grew silent. Next came the speed tunnel, a long stretch of anti-gravity that crushed bodies under shifting winds and pressure spikes. Bones would shatter. Skulls would pop. Time would slow, but not for him. He bent forward. His muscles rippled. The wind slammed into him like a tank. But he didn't slow. Instead, he leaned in harder and ran faster. With each step, the ground beneath cracked. Sparks danced under his feet. A sonic boom echoed behind him. He cleared the tunnel in 3 seconds. Every alien watching was now on their feet, back in the control tower. A tall insect-like commander barked into his comms. Increased difficulty. He's not supposed to live. They activated the flame rings, towers of fire that changed shape every second. It was chaos. Pure, burning chaos, but the human didn't flinch. He ran through the rings like they were shadows. Fire licked his arms. His suit burned at the edges. His breath was heavy, but he didn't stop. Then came the end. A leap. A gap 40 meters wide. Below it, spinning drills and acid rivers. No creature had ever even reached this far. He ran faster. The crowd held its breath. He jumped, and he flew not with wings. Not with tech, with raw power. He cleared the gap. Rolled as he landed. Stood. A silence fell over the galaxy. The timer flashed red. 30 seconds, exactly. He raised one hand in the air, clenched it into a fist, and turned toward the judges. The Death Track didn't defeat him. He conquered it. The arena stood in complete silence. Even the loudest warlords, who had mocked the human minutes ago, were frozen. No one spoke. No one moved. The human stood tall at the end of the Death Track, breathing heavily. His suit was torn at the shoulders. One arm bled lightly, steam rising from a burn on his leg. And yet, his eyes remained focused, calm, sharp, like steel. In the grand control room high above the stadium, a group of alien leaders watched the replay. The slow-motion footage showed him moving through the traps like a ghost, too fast, too controlled, too precise. It didn't make sense. Play it again, the insectoid commander growled, his antennae twitching with unease. 3rd time, sir. The technician replied. The leader slammed his claw on the console. Then play it a 4th. Below, thousands of alien spectators were beginning to react. Murmurs turned into loud arguments. Species who hated each other were now discussing in confusion, how did he predict the blade wall? No creature can survive the pressure tunnel. He jumped 40 meters. No jetpack, no wings. The human turned around slowly, facing the crowd. He didn't smile. He didn't bow. He simply walked off the platform and disappeared behind the curtain. Backstage, a young alien assistant, small, green-skinned, nervous, stood holding a water flask. The human stopped in front of him. I wasn't expecting the fire rings, he said plainly. The assistant blinked, mouth wide open, shaking as he handed him the water. Why you ran it in 30 seconds, the human took the flask, drank, and gave it back. Could have been 25 if I didn't roll on the last landing. He walked away. I in the control room, panic began to rise. He's not normal, said a thick-voiced alien with deep blue scales. No organic being should be that fast, that strong. He is human, replied a silver-skinned diplomat, adjusting her cloak. And humans are not what we thought. A vote was called. Emergency. Private. Closed doors. The question was simple: do we allow the humans to continue in the trials? Back on Earth's observation deck, a team of human officers watched the event replay with quiet pride. Their leader, an older man with grey hair and a stiff back, crossed his arms. I told them not to underestimate him, he said. The young officer next to him nodded. Do you think they'll try to stop us now? The older man smiled faintly. Not try. They'll panic. Inside the stadium, the arena was being reset. The death track straps powered down. The fire rings cooled. The crowd was still buzzing, half in awe, half in fear, but something deeper had changed. The death track was a symbol. A test no one passed. It was designed to show the galaxy's power over the individual. Now, that symbol was broken by a single human. News spread fast. Holoscreens lit up with the replay. Interstellar networks broadcast the moment he jumped across the gap. Alien children watched it in awe. Soldiers in faraway sectors watched in silence. Traders, pirates, scholars, kings all stared at one thing: a human running the death track. In 30 seconds, some races were impressed. Others were angry. A few were terrified. In the deep space fortress of the Mulgath Empire, the Empress watched the footage and narrowed her eyes. If one of them can do this, she whispered, what else are they hiding? On a farming world, a young alien girl looked up at her parents. Can I run like the human one day? But in the shadows, not everyone was celebrating. A secret group, known as the Circle, met in a dark chamber under the capital moon. Hooded figures gathered around a glowing table. The humans are advancing too fast, one hissed. They were not supposed to beat the track, said another. We made a mistake bringing them into the trials. A fourth voice, cold and deep, whispered the most dangerous idea, then we remove them, before the next test. Asterisk. The lights in the stadium faded as the crowd slowly left. Still stunned, many alien visitors kept looking back over their shoulders, hoping to catch one more glimpse of the human who had changed everything. In a quiet corridor behind the arena, the human sat alone. He was cleaning a burn on his arm, using a small kit from his belt. His face was calm, but his eyes were alert. He knew what would come next. He had embarrassed them, and the galaxy didn't forgive embarrassment. From the far end of the corridor, a quiet voice spoke. You moved like a machine. The human looked up. A tall alien figure stepped forward, thin, long arms, eyes that glowed softly like moonlight. I'm not a machine, the human replied. No, said the figure, smiling slightly. You're something worse. The alien introduced himself as Malek, a neutral observer from a peaceful science alliance. I came to warn you. Some on the council believe you cheated. Others believe you're too dangerous to compete again. The human nodded once. I expected that. Malek lowered his voice. They are meeting tonight. Secret location. They want to remove you from the games, quietly. How quietly? The human asked. Malek hesitated. Assassins. Before the next round begins. The human stood up and wiped his arm. Let them come. Elsewhere, the council's private meeting was already in session. 12 representatives. From the most powerful species gathered inside a soundproof, zero-gravity chamber, the insectoid commander slammed his claw down. He made us look weak. He ran it in 30 seconds, said the snake-like elder, coiling in his chair. That was supposed to be impossible. He's just one human, muttered the bird-faced noble. Why are we so afraid? The eldest member, wrapped in gold and crystal skin, leaned forward. Because if one human can do that, what happens when they send 10? Silence followed. Then, a vote. 0.7 votes for removal. 0.5 against. It was decided. Back at the human embassy compound, the soldiers' team received the warning. They are coming tonight, said the tech officer, monitoring the scans. 2 squads. Cloaked. Biosigns suggest venom blades and silent drones. Do we run? Asked a junior agent. The commander, the same man who had once warned the galaxy not to underestimate humans, gave a cold shake of his head. We don't run. They reinforced the building, activated sensors, and brought every human guard to high alert. But the human who ran the track, he didn't hide. He stood on the rooftop, waiting. As the alien assassins crept closer, moving like shadows, the human stared into the darkness. His suit hummed quietly. His fingers twitched, ready. The first attacker struck, fast and silent. The human moved faster. With one motion, he caught the assassin midair and slammed him into the ground, cracking the floor. The second came from behind. He ducked, spun, and used the first attacker's blade to deflect the strike. 3 more dropped from the sky, black shapes with glowing red eyes. The human launched forward like lightning. His hands moved like weapons, breaking arms, twisting legs, flipping bodies. Every move was calculated. No waste. No panic. In just 60 seconds, all 5 attackers lay on the floor, groaning or unconscious. From a hidden rooftop nearby, 2 members of the circle watched in disbelief. He took them all out, whispered one. He's not just fast, the other said. He's trained, like a predator. Back inside, the human walked into the embassy's war room. They sent 5, he said. Are there more? Asked the commander. Yes, the human replied. And they'll keep coming. This was just a warning. The room went silent. Then the commander looked up at the team. Then it's time we send our own message. The next morning, news of the failed assassination attempt spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Most thought the human would have been killed in the night. Instead, images leaked. Photos showed 5 elite alien assassins lying broken across the embassy roof. One had a cracked helmet. Another was tangled in his own weapon. Blood of several colors stained the floor tiles, and the human, he was standing calmly in the middle, unarmed, unharmed, and staring straight into the camera. Galactic news outlets exploded. Death Track champion survives night attack. Human soldier defeats assassins without a weapon. Who are these Death Welders and what else can they do? Back at the council chamber, things were not calm. Representatives shouted across the room. Some demanded Earth be removed from the trials. Others insisted on a full investigation into the illegal hit. It was not council-approved, claimed the gray-skinned arbiter of trade. Then who gave the order? Asked another. The room grew tense. No one wanted to admit it. But everyone knew some members had gone rogue. Earth's ambassador stood at the center, dressed in a simple gray uniform. His voice was clear and steady. You invited us to compete in your games. You welcomed us as allies. But instead of rules and honor, you sent knives in the dark. A few council members looked away in shame. Others glared. The ambassador continued. We are still new to your galaxy. But where we come from, we don't start fights. We end them. He handed over a small cube. A hologram blinked on. It showed the full video, clear footage of the human defeating the 5 attackers in under a minute. Consider this a reply, the ambassador said. We are not prey. We are not a joke. The next time you raise a hand against us, you better make sure it's your last. Then he walked out. The chamber was silent. Meanwhile, aboard Earth's hidden flagship, a sleek black vessel called Vanguard, preparations began for the next challenge. The trials were not over. The Death Track was only the first test. The next was the Gauntlet, a team-based survival course designed to test intelligence, teamwork, and resilience under extreme conditions. Most species trained for years to even qualify. The human champion, now known across the galaxy as the Runner, stood on the flight deck with 4 other humans, each from a different background: a strategist, a field medic, an engineer, and a silent woman with eyes that scanned everything. They were the first Terran team ever to enter the Gauntlet. Inside the Council's back halls, fear had turned into debate. They beat the Death Track. They survived an assassination squad. And now they are entering the Gauntlet. What if they win again? They won't, said a cloaked figure. Because this time, we'll change the game. Hidden deep beneath the arena, unseen by most, engineers received new instructions: adjust the maze, one said. Add more traps. Triple the difficulty, another whispered. They want to test the humans. Let's see how far they really go. But in the darkness of the human ship, the Runner prepared in silence. He didn't ask about the rules. He didn't question what might come. He only laced up his boots, stood up, and said quietly, when do we start? Across the galaxy, billions watched and waited. Some hoped the humans would fail, others feared what would happen if they didn't, but one thing was clear: the galaxy had changed, and Earth was just getting started. The Gauntlet was hidden in the heart of an ancient, hollowed-out asteroid. It was once a war fortress, but now it served a new purpose: a death maze wrapped in lies and ceremony. On the outside, the Council called it a team-based challenge. Inside, it was a place of broken bones and buried secrets. The asteroid spun slowly near the galactic core, where no signals could escape. No help would come. Only one team ever made it to the center, and none had ever done it clean: the human team. Stood at the Gauntlet's gate, 5 of them, dressed in matte black suits, no heavy armor, no bright lights. Just focused eyes and quiet breathing. The Runner, their lead, stood at the front. Beside him were the strategist, the medic, the engineer, and the woman with scanning eyes. She hadn't spoken much since they arrived. She didn't need to. Her gaze saw through lies and darkness alike. Above them, floating on a sky bridge, the Council watched. Their faces cold, their votes already cast. They had made their decision. No humans would leave this place alive. Let the second trial begin. The announcer called out in a dry voice. The gates slammed open, and the team moved. The first section was a shifting maze: walls that retracted and slammed together, floors that dropped without warning, ceilings with hidden spears. Most teams took hours here. Some never made it out. The humans cleared it in 6 minutes. The strategist called paths, marking each wall's pattern before it shifted. The engineer disabled 2 traps with wire and gum. The woman with scanning eyes saw a hidden pressure plate before it crushed the medic's foot. No one spoken less needed. The second section was a toxic fog chamber, green gas that dissolved metal and lungs alike. Past teams screamed and clawed to escape. Most failed. The humans came prepared. They used rebreathers, then stuck low to the ground. The medic threw a flare that revealed movement in the mist: tiny flying machines with needles coated in nerve fluid. The Runner jumped. In seconds, 5 bots lay sparking on the floor. They pressed on, but someone was watching. In a hidden control room, deep inside the asteroid, a crooked alien technician received new orders: activate the forbidden levels. Make sure they don't survive. He hesitated. But the trials do it, said the voice. The floor beneath the humans suddenly began to crack. The walls pulled away to reveal an arena never meant to be seen, lined with spinning fire, collapsing bridges, magnetic storms, and sonic traps. The difficulty wasn't just increased. It was made impossible. Back on the Council bridge, a few representatives frowned. This wasn't part of the design, one said, but no one stopped it. Inside the new arena, the human team didn't hesitate. The Runner barked orders: engineer, left. Kill the magnet field. Medic, stick close to the strategist. Scanner, give me a path. They moved like water, like one living organism with 5 parts. The firestorm hit, but the Runner carried the strategist through it. The bridge cracked, but the engineer patched it mid-run. The sonic pulse began, but the woman shut it down before it triggered a seizure loop. The galaxy watched in disbelief. Back in the control room, the crooked alien stared in horror. They are adapting. Someone behind him whispered. They weren't supposed to make it this far. Suddenly, alarms flared. The human team had reached the final corridor. The technician shouted, release the destroyer unit. Now. The last trap was unleashed. A giant machine, built from old war code and forgotten weapons, stomped into the hallway. It had ended 6 teams in past years. It couldn't be reasoned with. It couldn't be shut down. It charged forward, the human team didn't flinch, the runner stepped ahead of the others, his hands opened wide. He didn't run this time. He waited, the machine raised its blade arm, the runner ducked low, kicked off the wall, and vaulted up onto the machine's shoulder. With one hand, he tore open a panel, with the other, he slammed a device inside, the machine froze. 1 second. 2. It shut down and collapsed. Silence, the humans walked past the wreckage, the corridor lights turned green, challenge complete. News of the human victory in the gauntlet shattered every corner of the galaxy. Across star systems, children watched the replay in awe. On warships, officers studied the human team's movements. On farming worlds, merchants paused their work to see the moment the runner brought down the kill machine. Barehanded, the title began spreading across channels like wildfire. Humans conquer the unbeatable gauntlet. 1 team. 0 deaths. Total silence. What else can Earth do? Inside the Grand Council Hall, the pressure was building. Representatives sat stiffly at the circular table. Their eyes were tired. Their nerves frayed. Some hid behind ceremonial robes. Others whispered with allies, unsure what to say, because Earth had not just passed the test, they had crushed it, and worse, everyone knew the trial had been rigged. They reached the final chamber, the bird-faced representative muttered. No one was supposed to even survive the shifting maze. They shut down the Deathbot, another added. The same one that wiped out the Velkar squad in seconds. We are running out of excuses, someone said, the ambassador of Earth. Entered the chamber again, his face unreadable. I believe we were invited to compete, he said. Unless the invitation was insincere. No one answered. 1 council member, a tall female alien with soft blue skin and a gold crest, stood slowly. Her name was Lyra. She had watched silently through both trials. She was not known for emotion, but now her voice trembled slightly. I voted against the first attack, she said. And I will not sit here in silence as we keep trying to kill those who followed our rules. Whispers rippled across the room. You support them, one leader snapped. I support truth, Lyra replied. We told them to prove themselves. They did. Twice. Earth's ambassador gave her a single nod of respect. Lyra turned to the others. I move that Earth be granted a full seat at the Intergalactic Council. No more tests. No more death traps. Full rights. Half the room gasped. Some pounded fists. Others began yelling, that's insane. They are too new. They are too dangerous. They are not ready. They are already here, Lyra said calmly, but not everyone shared her peace. In a dark chamber below the council tower, the secret group known as the Circle met again. They've passed every trap, one said. They have public support, another added. They even have friends now on the council. A long pause followed, then the deep voice of the Circle's leader echoed in the silence. Then we do not test them anymore. What do we do? We end them. How? The leader stepped forward. We use the final protocol. We activate the silence clause. All heads turned. No species has ever dared to use that. The leader smiled. And no species has ever risen this fast. Back aboard Earth's fleet, the human champion sat alone in a training chamber. He was blindfolded, breathing slowly, listening. The doors hissed open. It was the ambassador. They are afraid of you, he said quietly. They should be, the runner replied. They are preparing something big. We can feel it. The runner removed the blindfold and looked straight at the man. Then let's finish this. One final trial. The ambassador nodded. They are calling it a diplomatic challenge. A meeting of words. But I don't trust them. Neither do I, the runner said, but I'll go. That night, Lyra visited the human quarters. She came without guards. Without fanfare, she asked only one question, why did you come to our galaxy? The runner answered softly. Because Earth got tired of being ignored. We are done sitting in the corner. We are not here to conquer. But we won't kneel either. Lyra nodded. Good. Then be ready. Because they are planning something dark. The next test won't be a race or a battle. What will it be? The runner asked, her voice was low, betrayal. Asterisk. The whole of the final trial was built to impress. Tall crystal pillars glowed softly. The floor shimmered like water underfoot. Delegates from every known species sat on high platforms, looking down on the chamber. A great golden circle had been marked in the center, the place of truth. This was not a race. Not a battlefield. This was a test of diplomacy. Or so they claimed. The human champion walked into the hall, alone. He wore no armor, no weapons. Just a dark grey uniform and calm eyes. His every step echoed in the silent chamber. Around him, 1,000 alien eyes watched, some curious, some cautious, some full of quiet hate. In the shadows of the highest balcony, the secret group known as the Circle waited. Their plan was in motion. The test was simple in name. Answer a single question with honesty. One question asked by the council. All cameras live. All broadcasts open. A trap made from words. The question came from one of the oldest voices in the chamber, an ancient being made of light and dust. He asked, why does Earth seek a place in our galaxy? The human paused. He looked around the hall. He saw Lyra, the blue-skinned council member who had spoken up for them. He saw others still full of doubt. And he saw one delegate walking down the steps toward him slowly. He knew something was wrong. The delegate reached the circle and held out a small metal device. A gift, he said. To honor your courage. The human took it, and his instinct screamed. The device clicked. It wasn't a gift. It was a bomb. The blast was small, contained to the circle, but powerful. Fire shot upward. Wind slammed the walls. The human was thrown backward, his body slammed into the ground. Screams erupted, guards rushed in, lights flickered, and just as fast, the noise died, the cameras cut off, smoke cleared, and the human rose. His clothes were torn. Blood ran down one side of his face. But he stood, coughing, blinking, but alive. From the balcony, a voice shouted. He brought a weapon into the chamber. Another screamed. He tried to assassinate the council. The trap was complete, but Earth was ready. In orbit above, hidden behind the moons of the council planet, Earth's fleet was watching. The second the explosion hit, signals were sent. Defense codes activated, and from the dark sky above the council tower, Earth stealth ships appeared, black, silent, glowing with blue shields, dozens of them. They hovered just above the chamber. No weapons fired. No invasion. Just a silent presence. The galaxy froze. Then came the real transmission from Earth's command ship. It played across every screen, every channel, footage from the embassy, security camera feed, showing the circle placing the bomb inside the device. Every lie shattered in a single moment. They betrayed the peace, said Earth's ambassador. On the recording. They planned our execution. But we brought truth instead. The chamber shook with chaos. Council members shouted. Lyra rose to her feet and raised both hands. Enough. She shouted. You want to see the truth? Look at him. Everyone turned. The human still stood, bleeding, injured, but alive, not fighting, not fleeing, just watching. If we call that man dangerous, Lyra said, then we have lost the meaning of strength and courage. She turned to the other council members. I vote Earth be granted full council membership. One by one, hands rose. The vote passed. The circle was exposed. Dozens were arrested. Others fled. Their grip on the galaxy broke that day, and Earth didn't speak of revenge. They spoke of future. In the days that followed, treaties were signed. New embassies opened. And the human champion, the runner, was honored not just for his strength or speed, but for his patience in the face of betrayal. He sat in a quiet garden days later, watching the stars. Lyra joined him. You could have started a war, she said. He nodded. But Earth didn't come for war. She smiled. Then what did you come for? He looked at the stars. To run, he said. To prove we could. And the galaxy, once full of doubt, now knew the truth. You can outrun fear. You can outfight death, but you can't stop humanity when it's already moving. Asterisk.